for more on the economic situation and the outlook for a possible peace. I spoke with Cameron Hudson. He is the Director of Public Policy over at the Center of Prevention of Genocide, and he spoke to me just a bit earlier.
There's been a bit of a tug of war between rebel forces and the government trying to control and then regain control over some of these disputed areas, key strategic cities along the Nile that control both the flow of goods into the capital, but also the flow of oil north into Sudan.
The fighting. There's fighting, there's talking. How did we get to this point?
Well, I mean, I think that this fighting goes back nearly 20 years. The South Sudan has not been a unified state. It has been divided along ethnic lines and tribal lines, linguistic lines for a very long time. Khartoum has done its best over the course of 20 or 30 years to foment instability among these various tribes. So there's a lot of bad blood that exists between ethnic groups, and they have representatives in the political class. And so there's very personal animosities between the leaders of this country. I think that in the lead up to Southern independence, there was a common cause that was made, which was independence for the South at all costs. And post-independence, what we're seeing is a fissure, a fracture along those traditional ethnic lines that have haunted South Sudan for many years.
Their neighbors, Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Congo. I mean, there's quite significant repercussions for its neighbors as well, but also for the international community, most notable in this particular case, China. They are the #1 oil importer of both Sudan and South Sudan. The reaction obviously is of concern. What would you tell them?
Well, I think that China has a great role to play in this process. China, we've seen over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, has played a steadily increasing role in Sudan and South Sudan, very positive role in mediating between the two. China helped to deploy a UN peacekeeping mission in Darfur in 2007, and they have mediated multiple times through their special envoy to Sudan conflicts between North and South. And so they have an opportunity, they have great credibility with both parties. Being the single largest investor in South Sudan gives them credibility. So they have a role to play here.
They have a huge stake, they have a huge investment. I mean, they want the oil to keep going, obviously. What is the probability of a long-term disruption in the oil supply?
I think it's a very high probability. Right now, we know that about 15% of South Sudan's oil supply is shut in. The main fighting, the fiercest fighting is going on in those oil-producing areas right now. Those are obviously the most strategic targets for control. And so if you can control those sources of revenue, you can change the balance of power in Sudan. Riek Machar has already said that any oil that continues to flow be put into an international escrow account until the political crisis can be ended. I don't see that happening right now, but if he controlled those oil fields, then you would be able to see him put pressure on the government to do such a thing.
South Sudan is a very young country. But they've got an economy around oil and energy that's grown quite a bit, but at the same time, it's faced with these massive challenges of political turmoil, the fighting that's happening right now. And I wonder if this is a case where you've got an economy that's been somewhat established, but at the same time, it doesn't have that strong political foundation or stable foundation that you need for a country to keep moving forward. And I'm wondering what can really be done about that.
Well, I mean, I think the tragic weakness of South Sudan is it doesn't have the institutions, doesn't have the economic institutions, but it doesn't have the political institutions to either allow for a diversification of the economy or a diversification of political views in the country. And so it's a lack of fundamental institutions that's causing this crisis right now. What we've seen is the politics spilling over into the military battlefield. What we need to do is to help them build strong institutions. That takes time. South Sudan is only 2 years old, as you pointed out, and the focus of the international community has been trying to prevent a North-South war from re-erupting. You'll recall 2 million people died in that civil war.
Very quickly, what is your prediction of the outcome over the next couple of weeks? Should we expect something positive?
I don't expect anything positive over the next few weeks, I'm sorry to say. I think that fighting is going to continue. I think that the risk to oil supplies is going to continue to grow, and I think we'll see more oil taken offline as those oil fields continue to change hands. There could be damage done to those fields, and I think it's going to take a long time for political talks to begin to take hold.
That was Cameron Hudson,
current policy director at the Center for the Prevention of Genocide.